One night, my son asked me to come over for dinner. When I arrived, a fourth place had been set at the table. The seat for my husband, who'd been dead for 2 years. I asked why. My son went pale. "Mom," he said, "there's something we never told you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from." The invitation had come on a Tuesday. "Mom, dinner on Friday night. Just family. Nothing fancy." Michael's voice on the phone carried the careful tone he'd adopted since his father passed, the one that treated me like delicate china that might crack without warning. I was 63, not ancient and definitely not fragile, but grief makes the people around you tiptoe. "I'd love to," I told him, and I meant it. The farmhouse where Robert and I raised our children felt cavernous now, lined with 40 years of memories and the particular quiet that follows when a long marriage ends. Not with anger or divorce, but with a heart attack, mid-morning on a Wednesday, while he checked the north pasture fence. 2 full years had crawled by since that morning. 2 years since I'd found him face down in tall grass, work gloves still on. I reached Michael's house at 6:30, carrying the apple pie I'd baked that afternoon, his favorite, and an excuse to keep my hands from shaking. Their place was a modest colonial in a quiet Millbrook, Pennsylvania neighborhood, the kind where families put down roots and kids run through sprinklers across bright lawns. Vanessa opened the door. She's always been beautiful in that carefully maintained way, highlighted hair, pricey athleisure, and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Brittney," she said, kissing the air near my cheek. "You shouldn't have. We already have dessert." "I wanted to," I answered, passing her the pie. The house smelled of roast chicken, and something else I couldn't immediately place. A cologne, maybe, or aftershave. It tugged at a thread in my memory, then slipped away. "Where's Emma?" I asked. "Sleep over at Madison's," Vanessa said. "We thought tonight could be just the adults." Something in her tone made me pause, but Michael appeared from the kitchen before I could dwell on it, drying his hands on a dishcloth. "Mom, you made it!" He hugged me, shoulders tight, holding on a beat too long. "Of course I made it," I said, searching his face. "You okay? You look tired." "Work's been crazy," he said, eyes skittering away. "Come on, let's eat. Everything's ready." The dining room table was set with Vanessa's best china, the cream set with gold trim her mother had gifted them. Candles glowed in crystal holders. Soft classical music drifted from hidden speakers. It was beautiful, formal, and nothing like our usual casual family meals. Then I saw it. 4 settings, 4 plates, 4 silverware sets, 4 wine glasses catching candlelight. Except there were only 3 of us. The 4th place sat at the head of the table, Robert's seat. The one he'd always taken in our home, the father's place, the spot of the protector. My breath snagged. "Michael," my voice came out steadier than I felt. "Why are there 4 places?" Color drained from his face like someone opened a tap. Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. Silence. The classical music meandered on, at odds with the sudden heaviness in the air. "Michael," I repeated, firmer. "What is this?" He exchanged a glance with Vanessa, the kind of married couple look that says a lot without words. She gave a tiny shake of her head. He squared his shoulders like a man bracing to dive into cold water. "Mom," he said slowly, carefully, "there's something we never told you." The room tilted. I steadied myself on a chair. "About your father." "Please, sit," Vanessa said, her voice gentler than I'd heard in months. "This is going to be hard." I didn't take my usual seat. I chose the chair closest to the door, some instinct wanting an exit. "Tell me." Michael sat across from me, palms flat on the table like anchors. "Dad didn't die the way you think." "He had a heart attack." I heard my own voice, distant and hollow. "In the north pasture, Dr. Morrison said it was massive, instantaneous. He wouldn't have suffered." That's true, Michael said. But there's more. In the months before he died, Dad was investigating something. Something that scared him. I stared at the man I'd birthed 36 years earlier, whose scraped knees I'd bandaged, whose night terrors I'd soothed. What are you talking about? Vanessa stood suddenly. I'll get the box. What box? I asked, but her heels were already clicking away across the hardwood. A few weeks before he died, Michael said, rubbing his face with both hands, Dad came to me. I'd never seen him so worried. He gave me a locked box and made me promise to keep it safe. He said if anything happened to him, I should wait 2 years, then tell you. 2 years? I echoed. Why 2 years? He said you'd need time to grieve. Time to be strong enough for what was inside. Vanessa returned with a small walnut box, about 8 inches square, brass-cornered with a keyhole. She set it down between us with a soft thunk. I recognized it at once. Robert's tackle box. His father had made it for him 50 years ago, carved with intertwined initials. R.C. plus J.C. Robert Caldwell and James Caldwell. That was in the basement, I said. I saw it last month when I was looking for the Christmas decorations. No, Michael said quietly. That was another one. Dad made a replica to leave behind. Same wood, same design. He didn't want you to know this one was gone. My husband had deceived me. The man I'd slept beside for 41 years, trusted with my life and future. He'd hidden things, built a false box to mask the real one. Open it, I said. Mom, are you sure? Open it. Michael pulled a small brass key from his pocket. His hands shook as he turned it. The lock clicked. The lid creaked open. Inside, red velvet-lined compartments held documents, photographs, and on top, a letter. My name written in Robert's familiar hand. Brittney, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry for the secrets. I'm sorry for the lies. But most of all, I'm sorry for what you're about to discover. Our life together was real. My love for you was real. But my past belonged to someone else entirely. Burn everything in this box after you've read it. Trust no one. And whatever you do, don't let them know you know. Your life may depend on it. R. My hands trembled as I set the letter down. What does this mean? Who are they? Michael looked older under the candlelight. I don't know. Dad never said. He just told me that after 2 years you needed to know who he really was before Millbrook. Why he never talked about family, about the money. What money? Vanessa slid a photo to me. A handsome young man in his 20s, Robert, but different. Sleek suit, a mansion behind him. Hair styled, expression arrogant. His arm around a woman in pearls. Who is she? I whispered. We don't know, Michael said. Check the date. I flipped it. Faded ink. Newport, July 1982. July 1982, the month before Robert rolled into Millbrook in a beat-up truck asking for farm work. The month before he walked into Harrian's diner where I was waitressing, ordered coffee and pie, and asked if I knew anyone hiring. The month before our life began. There's more, Michael said, voice barely audible. He pulled out a yellowed newspaper clipping that crackled. Headline: Prominent Boston family heir missing. Foul play suspected. The photo showed the same young man, but the name under it wasn't Robert Caldwell. It was James Whitmore III. Mom, Michael said, fear in his voice. I think Dad was running from someone. And I think they may have found him. The doorbell rang. We froze. The chime echoed, wrong in the tense air. Vanessa blanched. We aren't expecting anyone, she whispered. Michael eased to the window, lifted the curtain. When he turned back, his face confirmed my worst fear. Black sedan, tinted windows, 2 men in suits. The bell rang again, longer, harder. Don't answer, I said, surprised at the steel in my voice. Michael, is there a back door? Mom, what are… Back door? Yes, through the kitchen. I scooped the box, slid Robert's letter into my purse along with the photo and clipping. My hands moved with an odd certainty, as if muscle memory from a life I didn't remember having. Brittney, you can't just… Vanessa began. I cut her off. Listen to me carefully. In 30 seconds, you'll answer that door. You'll tell them I left an hour ago. You'll act natural, surprised, confused. Can you do that? They stared like I'd grown a second head. Knocking joined the bell, firm, authoritative. Can you do that? I repeated. Michael nodded slowly. Vanessa, terrified, gave a small nod. Good. Don't call, don't text. I'll contact you when it's safe. I was already moving. Through the kitchen, out the back door into October darkness. Robert's box clutched tight, my heart pounding like fear, tasting like fury. My husband had been someone else. Someone important enough that 43 years later people still wanted him found. He'd lied to me our entire marriage. And now he was dead, and they wanted me. I drove 20 minutes before letting myself think. The farmhouse was 40 minutes from Michael's, back roads all the way. I scanned the mirror for a car sticking too close. Nothing. Just darkness and the glint of deer eyes in my high beams. By the time I pulled into the gravel drive, my hands had stopped shaking. The house loomed against the October sky, dark except the porch light I'd left on, a habit from the years Robert worked late and I waited up with warmth and light ready. Robert. James. Whoever he'd been. I sat for a minute listening to the tick of cooling metal, coyotes on the ridge. Then I grabbed the box in my purse, went inside, locked the door, and threw the deadbolt. A first, maybe ever. The house felt altered. Every shadow hid something. Every settling creak made me flinch. I'd lived here 41 years, but suddenly it was enemy territory, a place where secrets had seeped into the walls. I made strong black coffee and spread the box's contents across the kitchen table under harsh fluorescent light. No more candlelight romanticism. I needed clinical clarity. The clipping was dated August 15, 1982. I read it 3 times. James Whitmore III, 26, heir to the Whitmore textile fortune, has been missing for 3 weeks. Boston police are investigating possible foul play after bloodstains were found in his Beacon Hill apartment. Whitmore was last seen leaving the Harbor Club on July 23rd. His father has offered a $100,000 reward. $100,000 in 1982. Enough to keep people searching a long, long time. I pulled more photos. Robert, James. At charity galas, yacht clubs, polo grounds. Expensive clothes, beautiful people. A world galaxies from Millbrook. Then I found a wedding announcement. The engagement of Miss Caroline Ashford Peaton to Mr. James Whitmore III. June wedding planned. The photo. An elegant young woman, perfect bones, pearls, that old money smile. Not the pearl-clad woman from earlier, a different someone. Someone James had promised to marry. Someone who might still be alive, and wanting answers. I didn't hear the car until gravel popped in the driveway. Ice flooded my veins. I killed the kitchen light and slid to the window, staying behind the curtain. A dark SUV idled, headlights off. No one got out, just watching. My phone buzzed. Michael. Mom, where are you? They said they're from the estate lawyer's office, questions about Dad's will. Are you okay? Estate lawyers at 9 p.m. on a Friday? I didn't reply. I shoved everything back into the box, hands fast despite adrenaline. Hide it. Not the basement, too obvious. Not my bedroom, too personal. The attic. The crawl space behind the chimney where Robert kept old tax records. I was halfway up when I heard it, the soft click of someone testing the back door. They weren't just watching now. I hurried, pulled the stairs up behind me, wincing at each groan of wood. The attic was cramped, dusty, packed with 40 years of life. Christmas bins, old furniture, boxes of Emma's outgrown clothes. I crawled to the chimney, pulled back the plywood, shoved the box deep. Below, glass shattered. They were inside. I froze, breathing shallow, listening to footsteps. 2 pairs, maybe 3, not trying to be quiet. Drawers opened and slammed, furniture scraped. They were searching, and not gently. "Nothing down here," a man said, educated voice with a Boston edge. "Check upstairs." Heavy steps on the stairs. I pressed into the rafters, praying the attic stairs weren't visible. "Bedroom's clear," another voice. "Car's here. She can't be far. Check the outbuildings." The footsteps retreated. The back door opened and shut. Flashlight beams swept the yard toward the barn and shed. 5 minutes, maybe. I scrambled down, grabbed my purse. The house was a wreck. Drawers gutted, cushions flipped, papers everywhere. Thorough. But they hadn't found what they wanted. They didn't know me. A woman who'd managed a farm for 40 years knows how to plan for floods, fires, and curious grandchildren. I slipped out the front, hugging shadows. The SUV still idled. Lights bobbed in the barn. My car was blocked. I'd have to walk. The Morrison farm was 2 miles through the woods. Ben Morrison, Robert's closest friend, had helped us lease land starting out, then helped it harvest every year until arthritis. He was 80 now, a widower like me, alone with memories and guns. I ran, staying off the road along the old deer path. My nice dinner shoes weren't meant for cross-country. Within 100 yards, I twisted my ankle. I kept going. Branches whipped my face. Behind me, shouts. They'd figured out I'd run. "Fan out, she can't be far." I ran harder, lungs burning, ankles screaming. The woods were pitch black, the moon only sometimes slipping through. I'd walked this path hundreds of times in daylight. Now every tree looked the same. A flashlight swept too close to my right. I dropped behind a fallen log, pressed flat, willing my breath quiet. The beam paused, returned. Footsteps snapped branches. "I've got movement, Sector 3. A voice crackled into a radio. "Pursuing." A tall, broad figure approached, flashlight in one hand, something else in the other, phone or gun. I grabbed a handful of dirt and rocks and hurled it to my left, away from the path to Morrison's. He spun toward the sound. I bolted the opposite way. "There, she's running." But I had a head start and I knew these woods. I veered onto a narrower track through dense brush. Branches tore at my skin. I didn't slow. The Morrison place was close. The glow of his security light winked through trees. I burst into Ben's backyard as lights snapped on and the back door flew open. Ben stood there in pajamas and a ragged robe, shotgun leveled. "Brittney?" His voice was all alarm. "What in the hell?" "I need help," I gasped, limping. "Men are chasing me. They broke into my house." He didn't hesitate. Ben had served in Vietnam. He recognized danger. "Inside, now." He locked the door and killed the lights. We stood in darkness, breathing hard, while he peered out. "How many?" 3, maybe 4. Dark SUV. "Ben, they aren't burglars. They're looking for something specific. Something to do with Robert." He cut me a look. "What do you know?" In the dim security glow, his expression hardened. "Robert talked to me near the end. He was worried. Said if anything happened, you might need protecting." "He told you." The betrayal bit deeper. "You knew he was lying about who he was." "I knew he had a past he wanted buried," Ben said carefully. "Didn't ask. A man's entitled to his secrets. But I promised I'd keep you safe if trouble came." A flashlight swept the yard. "They're coming," I whispered. Then moved to the window, shotgun ready. "Truck's in the garage, keys inside. Go out the front, head to town, police station." "I can't leave you." "I'm an old man with a gun on my own property, and they're trespassing," he said with a grim smile. "I can handle a few city boys. Besides, someone's got to get the sheriff here. Go. And Brittney?" His eyes softened. There was a soldier there I'd never noticed. "Robert loved you. Whatever else he lied about, that was true. He told me right before he died. Said you were the only real thing in his life. My eyes burned. Thank you. Front door's unlocked. Garage is attached. 3-minute head start, then I'm calling the law and making some noise. I squeezed his arm, ran through the dark house to the garage, and climbed into his ancient Ford pickup. The engine roared. I rolled out with headlights off, navigating by moonlight. Flashlights converged on Ben's house in the rear view, and then the shotgun blast thundered. A warning shot, I prayed. I flipped on headlights and pushed faster toward town, toward safety. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against instinct, I answered. Mrs. Caldwell. A cultured, cold woman's voice said. Or should I say Mrs. Whitmore? My heart stopped. We need to talk. About your late husband, about the money he stole, and about the serious trouble you're in unless you cooperate. Who is this? Someone who's looked for James Whitmore for 43 years. Someone who deserves answers. Someone with no patience left. The line went dead. Staring at the road, at the phone shaking in my hand, I knew this was only the beginning. They knew who I was. They knew about Robert. And they knew I had something they wanted. The only question? What would I do to survive? I didn't go to the police. Something about that voice, its certainty, the way she said cooperate, told me involving local law enforcement would be a mistake. These people had resources. They'd been searching for decades. A small-town sheriff wouldn't stop them. Instead, I drove to the one place they might not think of, the Millbrook Public Library. It was closed well past 10, but I knew the code. I'd sat on the library board 15 years, raised money for the renovation, volunteered countless hours. Martha, the head librarian, had given me the emergency code. This qualified. I parked Ben's truck behind the building and slipped in through the back. The library was dark except for green exit signs, casting eerie shadows among silent stacks. I've always loved libraries, the smell of paper and possibility, the promise of answers. Tonight it felt like a mausoleum. I kept low, moved to a public computer and typed, James Whitmore III, Boston, missing 1982. Results flooded the screen. Boston Globe, Herald, New York Times. The Whitmores were Boston royalty, old money, textiles, political ties going back to the Revolution. James, the golden child, Harvard-educated, groomed to run the empire, until he vanished. I clicked and pieced it together. Engaged to Caroline Ashford Peaton, daughter of another old line family. Wedding planned June 1983. In July 1982, he disappeared after leaving the Harbor Club, exclusive haunt of elite Bostonians. His apartment. Disarray, blood on the carpet, signs of a struggle. Police suspected foul play. No body, no witnesses, no leads. The family searched for years, PIs, reward money, psychics. Eventually, a memorial service, a legal declaration of death. But someone had never stopped looking. I searched Caroline. A more recent article from 5 years ago. Boston philanthropist Caroline Peaton Ashcroft donates $5 million to Children's Hospital. Married a diplomat, hyphenated her name. The photo showed an elegant woman in her 60s, silver hair perfectly styled, pearls, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She looked like a woman who didn't forgive. I almost didn't hear the front door open. Almost. I killed the monitor and ducked behind the circulation desk, heart pounding. Footsteps echoed, measured, confident. The walk of someone who knew what they were doing. Mrs. Caldwell, a man called. Different voice from the men at my house. Young, Brooklyn lilt. I know you're here. The truck gave you away. We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk. Silence. My name is Daniel Torres. I'm a private investigator. The Whitmore family hired me to find James, to learn what happened. Footsteps drew closer. I know you're scared. I know this is overwhelming. I'm not your enemy. He crouched. Through the gap under the desk, our eyes met. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with dark, sympathetic eyes. Please, he said, let me help you before they find you again. I made a choice, maybe the wrong one. I'd find out soon enough. But hunted and alone in the dark, I decided to trust the man with kind eyes. I rose, hands visible. He stood too. He was holding only a phone, no weapon. "Thank you," he said. "That took courage." "How did you know I'd come here?" "I've been watching you 3 weeks, your patterns. Tuesdays at the library for literacy volunteering. When you're stressed, you read. This seemed logical." 3 weeks, I repeated. "You've been watching me since before those people showed up." "I had to be sure you weren't part of what James ran from, that you were innocent." He tucked his phone away. "You are?" "No," I said bitterly. I had no idea my marriage was a lie. "It wasn't," he said firmly. "I've read every report, every interview, every scrap on James. He was a lot of things, privileged, reckless, but not a good actor. He couldn't fake 41 years of devotion. He loved you." "Then why lie?" "To protect you. Whatever he knew, whatever he had, it was dangerous enough to kill for. Still is." I sagged into a chair, exhausted. "There's a box, papers, photos, documents. He left it with our son, told him to wait 2 years." Torres's eyes sharpened. "Where is it?" "Hidden. Safe. I need to see it. Why should I trust you? You said some people want to eliminate evidence. How do I know you're not one of them?" "You don't," he admitted. "But if I wanted to hurt you, I could have done it 3 weeks ago. If I wanted the evidence gone, I could have burned your house while you slept. I want the truth." He hesitated. "Also, my uncle, Carlos Torres, was the original investigator. He searched for James 30 years. It consumed him. He died believing he'd failed. I took the case to finish what he started." "Social me?" The grief in his voice felt familiar. "A woman called me," I said. "She says Robert stole money. True?" Torres's face darkened. "That's what his father claimed. $20 million vanished right before James disappeared. But I've seen the records. The money wasn't stolen. It was moved, carefully, over 6 months. James wasn't running from theft. He was documenting something." "What?" "Money laundering. Whitmore Textiles was a front for washing cash for very dangerous people. James found out and gathered proof. The $20 million, he moved it where it could be traced. He was building a case." The pieces clicked. "Then they came for him." "Yes. He escaped and took the evidence." I pictured the wooden box in my attic, Robert's warning, "Trust no one." "If you're right," I said, "that evidence is still worth killing for, even after 43 years. Some involved are still alive, still powerful, still with everything to lose." He leaned in. "Brittney, I can protect you, but only if you let me." My phone buzzed. "Michael. Mom, please call. Vanessa's in the hospital. They hurt her." The room tilted. "What?" Torres saw my face. "What happened?" I showed him the text. He cursed softly. "They're escalating. Using family to pressure you." He dialed quickly. "Call the number," I said. "Not a text. If it's really Michael, he'll answer." He nodded, hit call, put it on speaker. 4 rings. A woman answered, the same cold, cultured voice. "Mrs. Caldwell, nice of you to reach out. Your son is fine, for now. So is your daughter-in-law, but my patience is thinning." "What do you want?" I said levelly. "What James stole. The documents he used to betray my family. In 12 hours, or people you love begin dying. Do we understand each other?" "Who are you?" "Someone you should have met long ago. Someone meant to be family." Her voice dripped venom. "I'm Caroline Peton Ashcroft, James's fiancée, the woman he abandoned without explanation or dignity." "You're behind the break-ins and threats?" "I'm behind finding the truth, whatever it takes." 12 hours, Mrs. Caldwell. The documents for your family's safety. I'll send a location. The line went dead. We stared at each other in the dim library light. She's not working for the launderers, I said slowly, realization dawning. She's working against them. She wants revenge or justice, Torres said. Either way, she has your family, and she wants evidence that could destroy powerful people. I stood. Decision made. We need that box, now, before anyone else is hurt. It's at your farm? Yes, and the first place they'll look. They may already be there. Then we'll be smarter. I met his eyes. You wanted the truth? Here's your chance. But once we open that box, once we see what Robert spent 43 years protecting, there's no going back. People could die. Maybe us. Torres's smile was grim. Lady, I've chased ghosts for 3 years. I'm ready for answers. We slipped into the October night. The gentle widow was gone. In her place, someone harder, sharper. Someone married to a man who had evaded dangerous people for 4 decades and learned from him without knowing it. The hunted had become the hunter. I was done running. We approached the farm from the east, cutting across the Hendersons' fields. Torres drove Ben's truck with headlights off. I planned our approach like a general. It was near midnight. Caroline's 12-hour deadline meant noon tomorrow. But time wasn't our only pressure. 2 vehicles in your drive, Torres said through binoculars. Black SUV and a sedan, at least 4 people. They aren't hiding, I said. They have leverage. They know I'll come back. Will you? He glanced over. I'm here, aren't I? We parked half a mile away behind the Hendersons' equipment barn and came in on foot through woods. My ankle throbbed. Pain was just information. It told me I was alive. The farmhouse blazed, every light on, a territorial claim. Through the kitchen window, figures moved, tearing my life apart. The attic, I whispered. The box is behind the chimney, but we can't get there from inside. Another way? The roof, an access panel on the north side. Robert installed it 15 years ago to check for squirrels. Can you climb? I'm 63, not dead. He almost smiled. We circled to deep shadows on the north wall. The access panel was 12 feet up, reached by an old metal ladder bolted behind a trellis of climbing roses. The thorns were thick as fingers, good cover. We crept forward and I climbed, ignoring the thorns' ripping skin. Torres followed, steadying my ankle when the ladder groaned. At the top, the panel stuck from disuse, then gave with a soft groan. We slid into the attic and eased the panel shut. We lay still, listening. Below, floorboards creaked. Voices, laughter, casual and wrong. How long? Torres breathed. 2 minutes. I crawled toward the chimney, past Christmas ornaments, Emma's baby clothes, Robert's old farm journals. Everything where I'd left it, except the plywood over the crawl space. It had shifted half a foot. Someone had been here. My heart stopped. I reached in anyway, fingers scrabbling through dust and insulation. Nothing. The box was gone. Torres, I whispered, voice breaking. It's not here. He checked, face hard in the moon-slivered dark. They found it. They're still searching, I realized. If they had it, they'd be gone. Then who? A board creaked below. Check the attic again, a man said. She knows this place. If I were hiding something, I'd put it where I could reach it unseen. The attic stairs unfolded with a metallic groan. We pulled into the lowest corner, behind a maze of old furniture. Flashlight beams cut the dark. Nothing but dust, one voice said, sweeping a beam inches from us. The boss wants this place torn apart, the other replied. Then my phone rang. Not a vibration, a ring. Michael's cheerful ringtone impossibly loud. The flashlight snapped to us. Torres lunged, tackling the nearest man into a stack of boxes. I scrambled for the access panel, the phone shrilling, a beacon. The second man grabbed my ankle and yanked. My head cracked against a beam. Stars burst. I kicked hard, hit soft tissue. He cursed and loosened his grip. I shoved the panel open and started down. "Brittney, go!" Torres shouted. I dropped the last 6 feet into the rose bushes. Thorns shredded my arms. Voices converged above, organized chaos. I ran past the barn into the corn stubble fields. Lungs burning, vision wavering, I kept running, because capture meant they'd learn I didn't have what they wanted, and then I'd be useless. Useless meant dead. Maybe 200 yards out, headlights flared ahead, pinning me. A car idled, door open. A woman's voice, familiar but not the caller's, rang out. "Mrs. Caldwell, please stop. I'm not here to hurt you." I slowed, body screaming for air. A professionally dressed woman in her 30s stepped into the light, dark hair in a neat bun, holding Robert's wooden box. "My name is Jennifer Matsumoto," she said calmly. "I'm an attorney with Blackstone and Associates. I've been executor of your husband's estate for 2 years. We need to talk." Shouts echoed behind. "Get in," Jennifer said. "Now, before they see you." I hesitated 1 heartbeat. The box was real. She'd had it 2 years. Robert had trusted her, planned for this. I got in. She drove without headlights, navigating by nerve and memory, then switched them on once we hit the back road. "Torres," I gasped. "He's still there. They'll kill him." "Mr. Torres can take care of himself," Jennifer said, checking mirrors. "Former military, former FBI. Your husband chose him." "What?" "Torres said the Whitmores hired him." "Torres lied. Robert hired him 3 years ago to investigate who was hunting him, to measure the threat and to protect you. Everything he told you tonight was designed to earn your trust while keeping you safe." My head spun. "He told me about his uncle." "True, but his uncle wasn't hired by the Whitmores either. Robert hired him 30 years ago to keep watch. When his uncle died, Daniel took over. He's been protecting you longer than you knew you needed it." "Who are you, really?" "Exactly who I said, an attorney, and the person your husband trusted most with the truth." Her voice softened. "He loved you, Mrs. Caldwell. Every lie and precaution was to keep you safe." "From whom?" "Everyone. Those who wanted him dead. Those who wanted his evidence. Even his own family." She paused. "Especially Caroline Peton Ashcroft, among others. But Caroline is the worst. She's driven by rage, not money. She turned north onto the highway. She won't stop until she gets what she wants, the complete ruin of the Whitmore legacy. She'll burn everything to reach it." My phone buzzed. Another text from Michael's number. "Mom, they say if you don't give them the documents by dawn, they'll kill Emma. Please." Dawn. They'd moved up the timeline. "They have my granddaughter," I whispered. "No," Jennifer said firmly. "They have your son and daughter-in-law, but Emma is safe. I have people watching her, have had them since this began. 2 trained operatives posing as the friends' parents. Your husband planned everything, every contingency." She glanced at the box. "He left very specific instructions, when and how you'd learn the truth." "Then tell me." "Not yet. First we get somewhere safe. Then we open the box together." "Will my family be released once we have leverage?" "Right now, Caroline thinks she holds all the cards. She doesn't know what's really in that box, what your husband discovered before he vanished." Jennifer met my eyes in the mirror. "She doesn't know the ledger implicates not only those laundering money through Whitmore Textiles, but also the Petons. Caroline's family orchestrated it. They tried to kill your husband when he found out. They've been hunting him ever since." Caroline didn't know. She believed her family were victims. The realization hit like a wave. "When she sees the proof," Jennifer said, "it will destroy her. The question is, Will you use that weapon? I thought of Emma, of Michael and Vanessa, of Robert in the ground, of the woman I'd been yesterday, the gentle widow with pie and library cards. Yes, I said. I'm willing. Good, Jennifer said. Because it will get worse before it gets better. Where are we going? A safe house your husband set up 15 years ago under a false name. Stocked and ready. She added, almost wry. He didn't tell anyone. Not even you. More secrets. The kind that kept you alive. She said simply. We drove 20 more minutes into unfamiliar country, then turned onto a narrow dirt road ending at a small cabin tucked out of sight. She parked behind it. We'll be safe for a bit. Inside was sparse but functional. A bed, table, small kitchen. She set the box on the table. First, we establish you're alive and negotiating. She propped her phone on books. You'll say you have the documents and will trade for your family, but you need proof of life first. What do I say? The truth. And look strong. I straightened, chin up, shoulders back. The woman reflected in her phone looked almost unrecognizable. Hair wild, face scratched, eyes like flint. Record. Mrs. Peyton Ashcroft, I said, steady and cold. I have what you want. All of it. Every document, photo, and piece of evidence my husband gathered. I'm willing to negotiate, but first I need proof that my family is alive and unharmed. You have 2 hours. After that, I start sending copies to the FBI, the SEC, and the Boston Globe. Your move. Jennifer sent the video. Now, she said, we open the box. She used the brass key Michael had used earlier and lifted the lid. The contents looked more organized, more complete. The box Michael gave you was the trigger, she said. The full dossier has always been with me. What Michael showed you was the first layer. Photos, clippings, the letter, meant to prepare you. But this? She pulled out a leather-bound ledger, neat handwriting filling every line. This is what they want. I opened it. Dates, names, transfers, a cartography of crime. 43 years of evidence, Jennifer said. He updated it even after his death. It maps how the Peyton family used Whitmore textiles to launder money for cartels, arms dealers, and corrupt politicians. She tapped a page. 73, the crucial one. My hands shook as I turned to page 73. July 15, 1982. $20 million transferred from Whitmore accounts to an offshore bank, Cayman Islands. Payment received. CAP, Caroline Ashford Peyton. She wasn't a victim, I whispered. She ran it. She architected it, Jennifer corrected. James confronted her. She ordered his death, staging a kidnapping gone wrong. She underestimated him. He took the proof and ran. Not only the proof, the money. He moved it into accounts she couldn't touch with instructions to auto-release to law enforcement if anything happened. His dead man's switch. She laid out another document, a cooperation agreement with federal prosecutors dated August 1st, 1982. He planned to testify, she said. They hit his apartment the night before. He barely escaped. I stared at his signature, James Whitmore III. Trying to reconcile it with the farmer who taught me tomatoes and danced with me in the kitchen. Why didn't he go to the authorities later? Because they were compromised, Jennifer said. Caroline's father was a federal judge. Her uncle, a senator. She had tentacles everywhere. He knew going public would get him killed. She gestured at the ledger. He waited. Statutes to run, key players to die, the political climate to shift. Technology to catch up so his paper trail could be verified. In 1982, it was his word against theirs. Today, digital forensics can corroborate him. This ledger is a nuclear device. My phone buzzed. A response from Caroline, a video. Michael and Vanessa sat tied to chairs in what looked like a warehouse, exhausted but alive. Michael's face was bruised. Vanessa's lip was split. Mom, Michael said, voice cracking. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. Dad made me promise. He flinched at someone off camera. They say if you give them what they want, they'll let us go. Please. The video cut to a shot of Emma through a window, laughing, painting a friend's nails. Innocent. See? Caroline's voice purred. Everyone you love is within my reach. I'll send the warehouse location within the hour. Come alone. Bring the documents. No tricks, or I start sending you pieces of your family. The video ended. She's desperate, Jennifer said, already mapping satellite images. If this goes public, she loses everything. Money, status, maybe freedom. She'll go to prison. Good, I said. Jennifer looked up and actually smiled. Your husband said you'd say that under all that gentleness, you had steel. I blinked tears away. What's the plan? We go to the meet, with copies. Originals stay here with instructions to release if I miss check-ins. We wire you for audio and get Caroline to confess on tape. Then Torres and his team move in. You knew he was here, I said. I'm 63, not naive. Torres vanished at the farm and you aren't worried. He's assembling a team to extract Michael and Vanessa. I leaned forward. Why do you need her confession? You have the ledger. Because it implicates powerful people who can tie it up for decades. Caroline's confession is headline-proof, a dam breaker. She closed her laptop. I won't lie. It's dangerous. If you want to hand this to the FBI and hope, I'll respect it. I thought of Robert choosing to run, to hide, to build a life with me in truth, if not in name. I'm not backing out, I said. When do we leave? Dawn. She'll send the location in an hour. We prep now. Jennifer opened a closet of spy movie gear, micro cameras, wireless mics, trackers. Your husband left all this. As she wired me, she coached. 43 years she's believed she's the victim. Your job is to shatter that illusion, make her angry enough to brag. And if she just shoots me? Torres will have the building ringed. First sign of violence and they move. But there's a vulnerable window, those seconds between her decision and our arrival. Be smart. Don't give her a clean shot. I've survived 63 years on a farm, I said dryly. I can handle one bitter woman. She's our age, Jennifer said flatly, and she's killed before. I stared. What? Investigators who got close, 3 across 3 decades. Accidents on paper. Torres traced them back to Caroline. She's not just bitter. She's a serial killer who's evaded justice for half a century. Don't underestimate her. We left at 5 a.m., driving in silence. How long have you known? I asked. About Robert. About all this. 5 years. He came for help. Posthumous releases. He knew his heart was failing. He wanted to ensure you'd be protected if he died before he could finish. She glanced over. He loved you, Brittney. I've never seen someone build such a fortress of planning for one person's safety. We reached the abandoned textile mill outside Harrisburg as the sky grayed. 5 stories of broken windows and crumbling brick, surrounded by a chain-link fence. 3 vehicles, the black SUV, a sedan, and a white van. That's a lot, I murmured. Torres is here too, you just can't see him. Jennifer pressed a small panic button into my palm, disguised as a fob. If anything goes wrong, press it. I took the fob, the folder of copies, and stepped into the cold air scented with rust and decay. A train wailed somewhere far away. Inside, the vast floor was empty but for rusting machines. Dawn's light sliced through broken panes. Mrs. Caldwell? Caroline's voice echoed from above. So nice you joined us. Top floor, stairs. I climbed 5 flights, heart hammering. At the top, I found them. Michael and Vanessa tied in the room's center. 4 armed men stood around them. By the window, silhouetted in sunrise, stood Caroline Peton Ashcroft. Still striking, hair silver, expensive clothes and jewelry, eyes like a frozen lake. You have something of mine, she said. You have something of mine, I said, pointing to Michael and Vanessa. She smiled, terrifying. Fair. The documents, please. I held up the folder. First, why? Why try to kill him? Because he was going to destroy everything. My family, my name. He wanted to be the hero, the whistleblower who sent me to prison. I couldn't allow it. So you ordered his death. I ordered a lesson, she said coolly. Death would come after. But he ran, like a coward. Abandoned me. Stole millions. Vanished. Do you know what that did to me? The humiliation? You weren't enough, I said quietly. Because he saw who you were. Don't pretend you knew him, she snapped. You knew Robert Caldwell, a fiction. I knew James, the real man. The real man chose me, I said, taking a step closer. And spent 43 years documenting every crime you committed. I opened the folder and showed her the first ledger page, with her initials authorizing a transfer of drug money. Looks very real to me, she stared. Arrogance curdled into confusion, then horror. That's not. I never. You signed it. July 15th, 1982. 1 week before you tried to have him killed. He photographed everything. And when this goes public, you're bluffing. Am I? I asked, showing her my phone. Draft emails addressed to the FBI and national papers. Attachments labeled clearly. One button. The only question is whether you want a chance to explain yourself. Chapter 345. To you? Her laugh was glass-shattering. You're nobody. A farmer's wife who lived a lie. I don't need to judge you, I said, stepping closer still. The evidence does that. Help me understand, though, how the woman James loved became a monster. Her hand moved toward her purse. I knew then she had a gun. I'd pushed too hard. I pressed the fob. Windows exploded inward. Torres's team swept in on ropes with military precision. Caroline's men reached for weapons. They were down before firing. Michael and Vanessa toppled sideways, chairs scraping. Caroline drew her gun, aimed at my chest, face twisted with hate. You took everything, she screamed. He chose you. I didn't flinch. No, I said. You did. When you chose money over love, murder over justice. James didn't leave you. You destroyed him. And yourself. Her finger tightened. A shot cracked. Caroline dropped, clutching her shoulder, the gun skittering away. Torres was suddenly by me, weapon raised. You okay? I nodded, weak in the knees. Michael, we've got them, he called. He kicked Caroline's gun away and zip-tied her wrists. And we got it all recorded. Confession, threats, everything. Jennifer appeared with FBI agents. Caroline Peton Ashcroft, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, witness intimidation, and a few dozen more. Caroline looked up at me. Blood on silk, hair disheveled, mask shattered. You've won, she spat. You get to be the widow of a hero while I'm the villain. Fair. Fair? I knelt. My husband spent 43 years hiding because of you. He died unable to use his name, see his family, or claim his identity. You took that. This isn't about fair. It's about justice. I crossed to Michael and Vanessa as Torres's team cut them free. Michael threw his arms around me. Mom, I'm so sorry, he whispered. So sorry. Shh, I said, stroking his hair. It's over now. Even as I said it, as the FBI led Caroline away, one question remained. Who had I really been married to for 43 years? And could I forgive the lifetime of lies? 3 months later, I stood in the farmhouse kitchen making coffee, watching the sun turn the fields to gold. Michael and Vanessa had gone home 2 weeks earlier, finally feeling safe. Emma stayed with me for a few days. Asking questions I tried to answer honestly. How do you explain to a 12-year-old that her grandfather had been someone else? that love and lies can live in the same heart. You tell the truth, I decided. People are complicated. Sometimes the best parts of life come from unexpected places. Her grandfather loved her truly, even if his name was false. She hugged me. Grandma, you're braver than Captain Marvel. I laughed through tears and told her I was just stubborn. The cases against Caroline and her associates made national headlines. Boston philanthropist arrested in 40-year money laundering scheme. Diplomat's widow linked to multiple murders. Each day brought new revelations as prosecutors mined Robert's meticulous evidence. Caroline tried insanity, then attempted suicide, then settled into bitter silence punctuated by rants about betrayal. Her trial was set for spring. They asked me to testify. I agreed. I owed Robert that much. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Jennifer's sensible sedan. We'd become something like friends, bonded by survival and secrets. I brought bagels, she said, lifting a paper bag. And I have news. We sat at the same table where I'd once spread Robert's box. October felt like a lifetime ago. Now it was January. Snow blanketed the fields, clean and new. The investigation has expanded, Jennifer said, sliding documents from her briefcase with practiced efficiency. Robert's evidence led to 14 indictments, including 2 sitting congressmen and a former cabinet secretary. DOJ is calling it the largest financial crime prosecution in decades. Because of Robert, I said. Because of James, she corrected gently. We should use his real name. He earned it back. I cradled my mug. I've been thinking about that. Names, identity, what's real and what's performance. The man who died in the North Pasture was Robert Caldwell. He'd been Robert longer than he'd been James. It's who he chose to be, with me. Jennifer nodded. Fair enough. Robert, then. There's more. She handed me a letter on thick stationery. The Whitmore family wants to meet you. Robert's younger sister, Margaret, 70 now, in Maine. She never believed her brother was dead, searched for years. When she learned the truth, she wept 3 days. She'd like to visit, no pressure, just to hear about the life he chose. My hands trembled. A sister I never knew about. I'll think about it, I said. And the money? Jennifer's expression shifted, almost pleased. The $20 million Robert moved offshore has been growing for 43 years. With interest and investments, we're near $60 million. Given his intent to prevent crimes and his legal stake in the Whitmore estate, there's a strong case it belongs to you. I stared. I don't want it. It's blood money, which is why you'll use it for good, she said, firm. Robert left instructions: establish a foundation to help victims of financial crimes, support families of whistleblowers, and fund anti-corruption investigations. She produced a bound packet. The Robert Caldwell Foundation for Financial Justice, if you agree. Something eased in my chest. Yes, I said. I agree. We spent an hour on board members, mission statements, grants. Jennifer had already built the scaffolding of Robert's vision. By the time she left, the foundation was real. After she drove off, I walked to the barn, breathing cold air, boots crunching on snow. The barn smelled of hay, old wood, and memories. This was where Robert proposed, on one knee in work clothes, asking me to build a life. Was any of it real? I asked the empty air. Did you love me, or was I just your disguise? I'd asked 100 versions at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, trying to reconcile gentle farmer with fugitive heir. Today, I finally had my answer. It was all real. Robert chose this life. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He could have vanished to a country without extradition, lived wealthy and untouchable. Instead, he chose Millbrook, a farm. Me. The lies were about his past, not our present. Every laughter, every argument, quiet porch evenings catching fireflies, those were true. Robert Caldwell might have been more real than James Whitmore, because Robert was chosen. Footsteps crunched behind me. Daniel Torres approached, breath puffing in the cold. "Thought I'd find you here," he said. We'd met for statements and debriefs, but this felt personal. "How's Ben?" I asked. "Enjoying hero status at the diner," Torres grinned. "He's outlining his memoir, The Night I Saved Brittney Caldwell from the Boston Mob." I told him they weren't actually mob. He said it sounds better. I laughed, and it felt good. "I wanted to tell you something," Torres said, turning serious. "About your husband, the man I got to know by investigating him." "You never met him?" "No, but I read every journal entry, every note. Interviewed everyone who knew him as Robert. Spent 3 years learning his choices." He looked out over the snow. "He was extraordinary. Not just brave or smart, though both. When forced to choose between justice and safety, truth and comfort, he chose the hard path. Every time. It cost him everything. And it gave him everything, too. A life with you, children, peace. He told Jennifer his only regret was that you'd have to learn the truth, that his secrets would hurt you. He feared that more than Caroline." Tears chilled on my cheeks. I wish I could tell him I understand, that I forgive him. "I think he knew," Torres said. "From the way he wrote about you, from how he planned. He knew you'd come to understand." He left, and I stood there long enough to feel something inside me settle. That evening, Michael called. "Mom, I've been thinking about the farm." We'd avoided it. He had a career, I was 63, the farm was heavy. "I know," I said softly. "We'll need to sell." "That's not what I was going to say," he replied, gentle. "I've been chasing a career I don't even like, living in a house that isn't home. I want to come back, not to take over, but to work with you, to learn while I can, to teach Emma where she comes from." Hope flared, almost painful. "Are you sure? The farm is hard, it doesn't make much." "It's real," he said. "Honest. It's what both Dad and Grandpa would have wanted. A legacy built on something." We planned logistics. Vanessa was already looking at local teaching positions. Emma was ecstatic, horses and 4-H. They'd move in March, in time for spring planting. After we hung up, I walked through the farmhouse, seeing it anew, not as a mausoleum of memories, but a living space ready for new life. Emma's laughter would echo. Michael's boots would track mud. The farm would continue. That night, I took out Robert's letter, the one from the box, and read it one last time. "Burn everything. Trust no one. Don't let them know you know." I had done the opposite, and we survived. The secrets were public now. Justice had come, not because I burned evidence or kept quiet, but because I fought back. I carried the letter to the fireplace and didn't drop it. Instead, I folded it and placed it in my jewelry box beside my wedding ring and the locket he gave me on our 20th. Not as a shrine to pain, but as a reminder. Love can hold contradictions. People can be two things at once, saint and sinner, hero and fugitive, husband and stranger. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting someone be complicated. Spring came early. By April, Michael's family moved into the renovated guest cottage, close enough to help, far enough for privacy. We planted corn and soybeans. Michael learned the land's rhythms. Emma peppered me with questions about seeds and soil. In May, Margaret Whitmore visited, elegant, kind, with Robert's eyes. She brought photo albums from childhood, stories of the boy who became my husband. "He was brave," she said over tea. "Always stood up to bullies. It cost him peace sometimes, but he couldn't be otherwise." "He never mentioned you," I said. "I know that hurts. He was protecting me. If they'd known..." She squeezed my hand. "He sacrificed everything. Name, family, identity. But he gained something too. You." We cried. Two women grieving the same man from different angles. After, I felt lighter, more complete. The foundation opened in June. We funded 3 investigations into corporate fraud, helped 12 families devastated by financial crimes, and launched a scholarship for children of whistleblowers. The board met quarterly in the farmhouse. Robert's vision stepped into daylight, one case at a time. Caroline's trial began in July. I sat through 3 weeks as prosecutors rolled out 43 years of crimes. She never looked at me. When the guilty verdict came, I felt no triumph, just a deep, weary sadness for all the lives wrecked. James's, Caroline's, and the victims in their wake. Outside, a reporter asked how I felt. "Justice was served," I said, "and I'm grateful I get to go home to a life that's real." August brought harvest, and with it, a purpose I hadn't felt since before Robert died. Working beside Michael, teaching Emma to drive the tractor, listening to Vanessa plan her school year, it felt like pieces clicking into place. One evening, watching the sun wash the corn gold and green, Emma asked if I was happy. I thought of all we'd lost and gained, of lies that protected me and truths that freed me. "Yes," I said, "because of everything that happened." I pulled her close. "Your grandfather taught me we can survive anything if we face the truth, and that the most important truths are often the simplest. Love is real. Family matters. Home is where we choose to build it." We stood, 3 generations, on land cultivated by lies and watered by truth. I finally understood what Robert knew. We aren't defined by our secrets, but by what we choose to do with them. We aren't imprisoned by our past, but freed by our choices. And love, real, complicated, imperfect love, is the truth that matters. The farm would continue, the foundation would grow, the family would heal, and I would live out my days not as the woman deceived, but as the woman who learns strength isn't never breaking. It's choosing to rebuild. Robert taught me that. James taught me that. The man I loved, whoever he'd been, left one final gift: the knowledge that I'm capable of more than I imagined. That evening, I watched fireflies above the fields and whispered into the summer air, "Thank you for the lies that kept me safe and the truth that set me free. For 41 years of love, however complicated. For teaching me the bravest thing we can do is live honestly." The fireflies rose like tiny stars. For a moment, I could almost believe he heard. Then I turned, walked back into the farmhouse, my home, my sanctuary, my legacy, and closed the door on the past. The future waited, and, for the first time in a long time, I was ready. Now tell me, what would you have done in my place? Share it in the comments. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check the video on your screen right now. I'm sure it will surprise you.